Listen closely, for I, Nicolomachiavelli, have crossed the veil of time to strip the velvet from the throat of power and reveal the cold steel beneath. You find yourself in the high sanctuary of a glass tower, the air thick with the stench of impending ruin. Your empire is hemorrhaging gold, and 1,000 families depend on the breath of your decision. Standing before you is your most loyal companion, the one who bled beside you in the trenches of the beginning. Yet now, through their own weakness or misplaced sentiment, they have become the very anchor dragging your ship into the abyss. The world will tell you to be the good man, to drown with your honor intact while your city burns and your people starve. But I tell you that this brand of goodness is but a shroud for the incompetent. Will you choose the warmth of a clear conscience while your legacy turns to ash? Or will you embrace the necessary cruelty of the betrayer to ensure the survival of the state? Do not deceive yourself with the lullabies of the pulpit. In the game of sovereignty, those who refuse to stain their hands are the first to be devoured by those who do. You must realize that the world is a wilderness, and you are surrounded not by brothers, but by predators masked in the finery of civility. To lead is not to be loved, it is to navigate the shifting winds of fortuna with a heart of stone and a mind of calculated malice when the moment demands it. If you remain a sheep, gentle and kind, you do not deserve the staff of leadership. You are merely a meal waiting for the appointed hour of the slaughter. Power is the only face of existence that truly speaks, and it only answers to those who understand that the end, the preservation of the state, and the win justifies any means. Hear this truth, etched in the blood of fallen empires and the silent tears of the virtuous who lost everything. Any man who tries to be good all the time, surrounded by so many who are cruel, will surely be destroyed. Wake up, for the bells of ruin are tolling, and only the Machiavellian spirit can silence them.
Do not confuse the common thug with the sovereign. The petty criminal burns the city for the warmth of the fire, seeking only a momentary, chaotic gain. But the Machiavellian leader uses the steel of pragmatism to forge a foundation that will last for centuries. One is a slave to their impulses, while the other is the master of fortuna, understanding that power is not a toy for the cruel, but a heavy mantle for the responsible. In your modern boardrooms, the data reveals a striking truth. Those you call high mocks are the true guardians of the bottom line, while the narcissist is blinded by the glare of his own ego, often paying far too much in acquisition premiums just to feel like a titan. The Machiavellian leader remains cold and unblinking. They do not seek the hollow applause of the crowd. They seek the win for the entire system. They understand that the survival of the collective is the only morality that matters. Observe the titans who dominate your markets, those who focus with tunnel-visioned pursuit on cutting costs and optimizing profit. They are often perceived as driven and confident rather than disliked, because their win-at-all-costs mindset is channeled into strategic, long-term stability for the firm. They instill this cost-cutting spirit into every layer of their empire, ensuring that even the smallest negotiation is handled with the sharp edge of a master's intent. This is not cruelty for the sake of sport. It is the ruthless efficiency required to keep the ship of state afloat in a sea of wolves. This is the philosophy of necessary cruelty. A leader who lacks the stomach to cut the infected limb today will find themselves presiding over a courts tomorrow. To be Machiavellian is to realize that a calculated, cold decision in the present, though it may draw the ire of the short-sighted, is the only thing that prevents the total collapse of order in the future. You must be the surgeon who cuts to save, not the coward who lets the patient rot out of a false sense of kindness.
Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. You see, the bond of love is forged by the fickle gratitude of men who are ungrateful, deceptive, and greedy for gain, and they will sever that bond the moment their self-interest is served. But fear is bound by the dread of punishment, a thread so strong it never fails you, even in the darkest hour. Do not be fooled by the smiles of your subordinates. They love you only as long as you are the source of their profit. When the tide turns, they will turn with it, but they will never forget the weight of your hand should they dare to cross you. The truly masterful leader understands that to be a lion, one must first learn the skin of the fox. You must be a great deceiver and a hypocrite, for the world is populated by the simple-minded, who are always willing to be fooled by a charming facade. In your modern courts, you call this political skill, a clever veil that camouflages your true nature and allows you to move through the halls of power undetected. By employing soft tactics, the well-timed compliment, the disarming joke, or the illusion of empathy, you lure your rivals into a sense of security until they are so deeply entangled in your web that they thank you for the trap you have set. It is a bitter truth that those you lead are often more concerned with their own status and wealth than with the universal morality preached in your schools. Therefore, you must present the image of the virtuous, the kind, and the merciful, while your internal compass remains fixed solely on the survival of your empire. You are not a monster of impulse, but a strategist of necessity. You appear driven and confident to the world, masking the cold machinery of your intent. Never forget, kindness is a precious mask, but power is the true face of survival.
Look around you at those you call your loyal subjects or trusted allies, and see them for what they truly are: ungrateful, fickle, and hungry only for their own advancement. I tell you this truth, which the pious find bitter: men are more prone to forget the execution of a father than the confiscation of their own gold. To lead with a pure heart and naive eyes is not a virtue. It is a death warrant, an invitation for the daggers of the ambitious to find their home in your back. In a world of wolves, to be a sheep is to be a voluntary sacrifice at the altar of another's triumph. Therefore, you must learn to be a beast as well as a man. The mere lion, though strong, is easily led into the snares of the clever, and the mere fox is torn apart by the pack. You must master the dual nature of power. You must be the fox to sniff out the hidden rules of the hierarchy and the cunning traps of the sycophants, and the lion to strike terror into the hearts of those who dare challenge your throne. True wisdom lies not in being one thing, but in the fluid transition between the shadow of the fox and the strike of the lion. Do not take my word as mere philosophy. Look to the cold evidence of your own age. Research reveals that those you call high mocks
are significantly more likely to attain and keep their managerial positions because they understand that the world is built on information asymmetries. They are cunning in sabotaging opponents in the tournaments of promotion and are willing to take advantage of the discretionary and subjective nature of performance appraisals to secure their reign. They do not cower before universal morality. Instead, they are ready to break common ethical rules if such a move is necessary to protect their interests or the survival of the organization. Hear the third prophecy of the prince, for it is the iron law of every empire that has ever stood. A lion cannot protect himself from traps, and a fox cannot protect himself from wolves. Therefore, one must be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. If you lack this duality, you are not a leader. You are merely a ghost waiting for history to forget your name.
You must understand that the sanctuary of the home and the palace of power are two different realms, governed by two different gods. A leader may be a paragon of virtue at his own hearth, a tender father and a pious devotee, but when he steps onto the stage of sovereignty, he must be prepared to clothe himself in a different skin. Your personal morality may save your soul in the next world, but only your strategic pragmatism will save your empire in this one. The greater good of the collective often requires the leader to walk paths that the common man finds abhorrent, for the end of preserving the state justifies the necessary means of the strategist. Observe the titans of your modern commerce, those high mock CEOs who command salaries that the commoner tremble with envy. Do not mistake their wealth for mere luck. It is the result of a mind that knows how to structure the very architecture of the system to its own advantage. These leaders understand that political skill is the ultimate camouflage, allowing them to manipulate the discretionary nature of performance and pay to maximize their own gain. They do not seek loyalty through the fickle warmth of affection, but through the ironclad bonds of material interest. By strategically boosting the compensation of their inner circle, they ensure that those beneath them are complicit in the preservation of the leader's own fortune, buying a loyalty that no sermon could ever secure. You may recoil at these words, but look into the mirror of history and see the reflection of human nature as it truly is: greedy, selfish, and far more concerned with its own pocket than with the ghosts of the past. The bond of sentiment is a fragile thread that snaps under the slightest pressure of self-interest, but the bond of property is a chain that binds the soul. If you wish to remain the master of your fate, you must realize that men are more easily moved by the fear of loss than by the memory of love. This is the bitter, final truth of the marketplace and the kingdom alike. People forget the death of their father faster than the loss of their patrimony.
You may revile these words. You may cast me out as a teacher of wickedness and a panderer to the shadows of the soul. But when the sun sets on your brief moment of glory, and you find yourself alone in the cold silence of the boardroom, facing those who would strip you of your rank and legacy, you will see me standing there in the corner of your mind, smiling. Power is not a prize for those who seek to be beloved by the masses or to be praised for their universal morality. It is the heavy, blood-stained mantle reserved only for those who possess the iron will to do what is necessary, regardless of the whispers of the pious or the cries of the weak.
The data of your own age confirms my ancient truths. Those who score highest in this dark trait are the very ones most likely to ascend to the throne of management and stay there. While the naive wait for merit to be recognized, the Machiavellian strategist understands that the direction of influence flows from the spirit of the fox to the status of the leader, not the other way around. You must shatter the rose-tinted lenses of your innocence and see the world for the predatory wilderness it truly is. Learn the dual nature of the beast. Master the cunning of the fox to bypass the snares of the envious, and the strength of the lion to crush the wolves who think you are easy prey. Wake from your slumber, for in the grand theater of existence there are only two roles, the driver or the sacrifice. If you do not seize the reins of Fortuna with a cold and calculating hand, you are merely a sacrificial lamb fattened on the illusions of kindness until the hour of your inevitable slaughter. The end, the survival of your empire and the triumph of your will must always justify the means, for history has no memory of the good who failed, only the ruthless who endured. Now go forth and rule, or step aside and be trampled by those who will.